Well, hey everybody. Ooh, did you hear that? Well, that was a very Texan way to come on and say welcome. Well, hey everybody. Welcome to another episode tonight. We are talking about why you should put the district credit card down. We're going to talk about what you need to do first or instead. And so I'm going to talk you through two scenarios that typically happen when a district or campus is starting to think about purchasing products, programs, or resources. So buckle up. Before we get started, I do want to make two quick announcements. First of all, CEC 2025 is happening this week. It's happening Wednesday. I'm so excited to be the keynote speaker for the opening session. We're going to be talking about how to move beyond silos and build a culture of collaboration where everyone feels empowered, valued, and inspired. And then my second announcement is if that sounds like something that you or your organization would be interested in hearing about at your next event, let's chat about it. I would love to bring this super powerful message to your people so that you can help them to move beyond silos. All right, let's dive into today's conversation. Hey there, welcome to the Catching Up with Casey show. If you are tired of chasing buy-in, frustrated by teams who just can't seem to get on the same page, or over the constant struggle of holding people accountable without feeling like you're micromanaging, this is the show for you. I'm Casey Watts, team leadership expert and the host of this show. I specialize in clarity, collaboration, and character, and I help leaders just like you take teams from chaos to cohesion, from frustration to alignment, so teams can actually work together toward a common purpose instead of against each other as though they are functioning in different organizations. Whether you lead a single team or a team of teams, on this show, we talk about strategies that are going to help you create a culture where accountability and autonomy go hand in hand. Now, with all of that said, let's dive into today's conversation and build cohesive, vision-driven teams. Okay, so we're going to jump into the conversation tonight, really thinking about what is happening in the moment in schools and districts on campuses. And the reality is that a lot of people are starting to think about next year, and they're thinking about their budgets. They're thinking about the staff they're going to need. They're also thinking about what products and programs they're going to need to renew and what new products and programs they may need to purchase. And there's no doubt in my mind that a lot of teachers are probably coming to you as instructional leaders and asking about a variety of different products and programs that they might be able to purchase. Some of them are probably even asking, hey, are we going to get an interventionist this year? We really need one. I'm not saying that those things are not true. However, what I am here to tell you tonight is that oftentimes we skip something that is really, really crucial when we begin to look at products and programs to purchase. And I'm going to walk you through two different scenarios that typically take place on campuses when you're looking at products and programs, right? So as we're looking through this, you're going to see that there is a commonality in these two different scenarios. One commonality, I'm going to share with you the common thing that needs to happen first before you swipe that credit card. Now, I also know that most schools aren't swiping credit cards for products and programs or additional staff, whatever it is that you are purchasing. What's most likely happening is you are provided a quote and or an invoice, and you're paying for it in a different way. But for the purposes of this show and a great title, it sounded great to say, let's put the district credit card down. So just imagine you're putting the credit card down and you're taking a pause. I'm going to dive right into this and let you know that recently, the reason this came about is because I recently myself, as part of a curriculum department, sat down with a curriculum company representative who had bought us lunch and wanted to share the updates for their product that we already had purchased. But of course, with these bigger box curriculums, they always have more things that they are changing, or more programs that they're adding, and different tiers of purchases you can make, right? And so we're sitting through this meeting, and I am really on the struggle bus. Not even going to lie, really on the struggle bus in this meeting. And what I'm struggling with is this idea of teachers and staff needing products and programs, needing a curriculum that they can implement with fidelity, but then also knowing that too often what happens is we purchase the product and program, the resource that has been said is based in research and has also made a significant impact on student learning, et cetera, and knowing that there's only so much a product and program can do. It is our people that matter most. And so I'm sitting there in this meeting battling these two different ideas in my mind. Like, yes, we need the products, but also like we need the materials and resources, but also are we really setting our staff up to be able to implement these resources well, so that the people are the ones making the impact on students and student learning. And I know that my face probably showed it all. In fact, I ended up recording, sending a Marco Polo to a friend of mine, and I just laid it out to her what my frustrations were. I took that recording, I posted it to the podcast, and I was telling another friend that I did that, and she said, you know, you might not want to do that. I know you're frustrated, but here's how we can go about it instead. And so I took down the episode because I know that it just was too, you know how you have those vent sessions? That was my vent session to my friend. It should not have gone to the podcast publicly. And so I took it down, and I'm doing this instead because after I had a moment to kind of analyze it, this is what I realized. There are two scenarios. I'm going to walk you through the first scenario. And I want you, if you are just listening to this on the podcast and you're not seeing it live right now, I want you to imagine a tiered model. So at the bottom, almost like a cake, tiers of cake. And at the bottom, what typically happens is we are looking at data, right? We analyze the data, and we realize that the data is pointing out some areas where growth is necessary. The next step after analyzing data might be that we're focused on tier 1 instruction and what's happening in classrooms. The next step could be that we're thinking about the products and programs that are being used or could be used to support improvement in these areas where the data indicated growth is needed. And then finally, at the very top, we might be thinking about staffing, like intervention staff, or maybe even leadership staff, maybe instructional coaching staff. So we're looking at staffing. Here's what happens though. When we look at these tiers, at the bottom, we might notice that there's very little resources, financial resources that are required. The higher up you go, the more expensive it becomes, right? And obviously, if you are having to hire more staff, it is the most expensive option. And what I find has typically happened is we're looking at this data, and instead of focusing on tier 1 instruction, we skip right over that and go to products and programs. And sometimes if the products and programs don't seem to be working, we're then trying to figure out how do we hire more staff so that we can support students. But too often, tier 1 instruction is missing. And the reason that is because after we look at the data, or as we look at the data, we're missing some specific questions. We're missing one very specific thing that I'm going to unveil here in a little bit. I'm going to place that right here in the middle of the chart. But we're missing definitely the question of why. Like, why is it that the students are significantly struggling in these areas and maybe need specific products and programs? Or why is it that our tier one instruction is not meeting the students' needs as it stands? Okay, so that's scenario one, is we're looking at the data and making some decisions from there. Scenario two is a little bit different. And so scenario two, instead of looking like a tiered chart, it is a flow chart. We're going to go from top to bottom. And the very top of this, we're going to start with the question, do we need it? So let's just assume a company has reached out to you, or a representative has bought you lunch and they are pitching their products and or their resources that they have. And you might ask the question, is it needed or is it wanted? We're going to stick with the question, is it needed? Okay. Is it needed? You have two options. One option is yes, and one option is no. If you answer no, you're not stopping there. If you're answering no, what we need to do next is say, okay, if we're saying no, that it's not needed, then what? Then what? If we're saying no to this, what are we saying yes to? What are we going to do to support our teachers and students? If we are saying yes, then we need to ask a follow-up question. And that question is, of course, same as it was earlier, why? The problem is we say, is it needed? And immediately we say yes, and we purchase it, right? Or we find a way to purchase it. But what we need to do instead is ask that question, why? Why is it needed? After we ask the question, why, then we're going to decide, okay, maybe it's because our data is showing that it's needed. Maybe it's showing that maybe we're looking at teacher responses to a survey and they're all saying that we need this resource. Then after we've answered that question, why, and we decide, yes, it is still needed. So that's another yes or no. Then we're going to ask that same then what question that we asked over here when we said, no, we don't need it. Regardless of what you choose, we need to be saying, okay, then what? If we're saying yes to this product or program, then what? And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. If we're saying no, then what? Then what are we going to do to support our staff and students? So I want to give you the then what questions that you're going to follow up with. So let's assume that you say, yes, we are going to purchase this product or program. Your then what questions are going to be things that start with a question statement and then end with will. So we're going to go through 4 of them. What will? Who will? This is beautiful handwriting if you're seeing it. When will? And then finally, how will? Here's your what will. What will this look like if we implement it well? Or what are we saying no to if we are saying yes to this? That is a typical Michael Bungay Sr. question. If we are saying yes to this, what are we saying no to? Who will? Who will be the people that are our runners who are going to carry the vision for this work and implement the use of this product or program well? When will? When will we actually implement it? What will that process look like? How will? How will we know that we have been successful? Or how will we take steps when it doesn't seem like it is effective? I want you to think about everything that I've shared with you. What has been most common in this are a couple of things. First of all, that question, why? Why has been a common question in both scenarios. But then you also may notice that there are additional questions in the second scenario that I asked you to consider. What will, who will, when will, how will? At the bottom line, here's the bottom line. What we are trying to do for our people, regardless of whether we purchase products or not, is create clarity. We are trying to create clarity. So if you decide that the data is showing you need products and programs, let's gain clarity around why. If you're looking at a product or program that's been pitched and you're saying, yes, we need this, then you're gaining clarity by asking, excuse me, all of these additional questions. Now, here's where I'm going to tell you that if you want to dig deeper into where people might be lacking clarity and why they might keep asking for products and programs, I'm going to direct you to a free 30-minute training that has additional resources with it, where I explain to you the 3 reasons that teachers keep asking for more products, more programs, more resources, or maybe even more staff. And you're going to find out those 3 reasons, but also how to combat them with clarity. Okay, so what you're going to do is go to bit.ly/clarity over clutter. And you are going to notice that you can type in your information and get immediate access to this 30-minute training. It's short, quick, and you can follow up with me afterwards to let me know what was most useful for you and or where you're noticing there is a lack of clarity on your campus. Let me leave you with this. Put the credit card down and first think about where a lack of clarity is impeding capacity in your teachers, your staff, your students, and then also decide how you need to create clarity for your people, regardless of whether you purchase a resource or you don't. Clarity is the missing piece that so often causes our products and programs or our initiatives to fail or not get used with fidelity. So I'm going to leave you with that. I would love to hear what resonated with you in this episode. And until next time, put the credit card down, gain clarity, create clarity. Adios. Hey there, thanks for joining this episode. I would love for you to do me 3 solid favors before you head out. Number 1, subscribe to this show. I've got a lot of great guests and content coming up, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Number 2, share this show. Share it with your like-minded colleagues and friends and those leaders who are eager to build cohesive, vision-driven teams. And finally, connect with me on all the social media platforms. You can find me at Catch Up with Casey on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Until next time, go off and create teams that leave people feeling inspired, empowered, and eager for more each day.